ignited immediately. It was like 20 below and like froze over. So it was a lot of fun. It worked like a 13-hour day.
Ugh. We're supposed to get a bunch on Friday.
I can handle the snow. It's just when it snows like that, we go live all day. So it's just really tight. It's like usually a really stressful work day.
Yeah. You're low again.
All right, I got the link. I'm about to send it out.
All right.
Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh, testing, testing. How's that?
That sounds a little better.
Better?
Yeah.
Once we're live, I'll do a test. Boom. It is out. Testing, testing. Come on, baby. Come on.
You're scratchy too.
Well, I so I'm massaging the knob. So that's like what seems to be kicking it into gear is me like the channels on the fritz. So if I turn the little volume knob on the channel, it seems to like connect something, and then it's fine.
Huh.
All right, let's do a test. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Now you say something.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, just gotta listen to it now. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right.
Playing anything good right now?
Still playing golf on the PS4. It's pretty great.
Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, no, it's everybody's golf, which used to be Hot Shots golf. Good times.
There's that other thing I saw in a lot of year-end lists, like Golf Story or something.
Haven't seen that one.
It's kind of like it has like a story to it. It's almost like an adventure game, but it's also a 2D golf game.
Oh, nice.
It got a lot of good reviews.
You still playing Stardew Valley? Not Stardew Valley.
I finally went and did the final quest in Starbound.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna keep going back to it, but for now I'm trying other stuff. I started playing this game called Shardlight. That's like a 90s style adventure game, like right down to like it changes the resolution on my monitor to some like crazy shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know how far I'm gonna keep going with it. It's kind of like hold on. trying to figure out what I was listening to. It's my dog wheezing as she snores. Um, yeah, it's like it looks great. It's got that great like '90s aesthetic, like perfectly all pixely. And then I started just having to dig through like dialogue menus, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I actually like. I always see trailers for those things. I'm like, oh, awesome, and then it's like, I don't know if I'm actually interested in the gameplay.
Oh yeah.
But I bought a ton of shit on the Steam sale, so as soon as I get bored with it, I'm just gonna move on.
Nice.
Can you hear this?
Yes, I can.
I think I'm hearing my neighbors screaming at each other.
Ah,
I
nice.
think that's what's happening. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Is that a little better?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
much better.
So annoying. I just won't touch anything now.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're not hearing our teens in the living room.
I did in the beginning, but not now.
Okay.
Oh, that I hear. All right.
Hopefully they'll chill out here in a bit.
Yeah, if it's one thing.
Oh, now I can hear that.
If it's one thing I know about teenagers, they chill out.
Yeah. They're well known for it.
One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. I think I need to find different headphones. I think that's part of my problem.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's going to be a problem.
What, no headphones?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. See, like now it sounds alright, but it keeps like fading.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know what that is. I do not know.
You get John to buy you a new board.
I know, but it's one of those things where like it's week to week. It kind of works. So I hate to spend the money until it actually dies. But I was saying the other day, I'm like, the problem is that when it actually dies, we're gonna like lose. We're gonna have to not record a show or something.
Yeah, and the chance of it dying in the middle of a show.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, Okay, I just sent the chat if you want to send pictures.
They're all going to be pictures of Sophia Boutella.
She's the one who's in Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
That's the movie you want to see her.
Yeah, I saw that now finally. I was happy.
It's such a good movie.
It is. I'm going to send you this picture just because you mentioned it in the email and I hadn't seen it before, and it's fucking hilarious. It's Tom Cruise looking all happy and the rest of them looking trapped.
What a fucking disaster this movie. I'm like really excited to talk about it. It's so dumb.
Holy shit, that's huge. And it's only coincidence that it's a picture of Russell Crowe I'm talking about.
All right, I'm going to be right back.
All right. Hello, ladies and germs. If you're out there, say hi on Twitter. Use BGH Live hashtag, or just tweet us over there and say, hey, I'm on your pre-show. Answer this shit. Either or. I don't think you're out there, so I'm talking to myself anyways, so that's okay. Have at it. In the meantime, we're getting ready to go here. Everybody's going to be showing up here shortly. Eric and I's here, but Eric had to take a pee-pee. So it's just me and you hanging out here on the Bloody Good Horror pre-show live stream. Isn't it exciting? Yes. So there it is. My name is Casey. If you're, well, let's face it. If you're on the pre-show watching the live stream, you're a patron, and you already know who I am. So, because you've been fans for a long time, and we really appreciate your dedication and your help here at Bloody Good Horror. So thanks a lot for that. In the meantime, we'll be settling down here to talk to Mummy with Tom Cruise. It's going to be a slobber knocker. I can guarantee it. We've been pretty fired up to get this one discussed. So hold on to your butts for that. That's exciting. Let's see what else is out there. Anybody been watching Black Mirror since it came out, started out the new season? That's been pretty good. I've watched 2 episodes. The last one was pretty fucking sad and dark. So that was the 2nd episode of this new season. So I haven't revisited yet. I had to recover a bit, regain my composure, so to speak. It was a little rough. So there's that. Especially if you're a parent. What else we got here? I think tonight on the show we have me, we have Eric, we have Joe, we have Mark, and we have Cece. No John this week. He's going to be missing out because he's out doing fancy lad things across the world. I take that back. He's not that fancy. It's just across the country. Yeah, so there. Drinking some Jack Daniel's cinnamon whiskey. It's a little strong. Not bad. Not sure it's what I'm in the mood for, but you know, it's what we had in the liquor cabinet. So there. Definitely have to be sure to restock the liquor cabinet this weekend. Indiana is supposed to be getting a shitload of snow sometime Friday and ice, maybe some winds and all that good stuff. So it's gonna be good. I have other party supplies stocked, but I don't have whiskey, so we got to fix that. Although, if it's the middle of a blizzard, cinnamon Jack Daniels might be a little more tolerable. In the meanwhile, what else we got going on out there on the internets this week? We got new trailers for Hellraiser without a chunky Pinhead. It didn't seem much better, but he wasn't chunky. I know I'm not one to talk because I am pleasantly plump, so to speak, but you know, it's Pinhead. Let's see if I can do this without fucking up the show. Here comes Cece. Maybe. Maybe. There she is.
Hello.
Hello.
What are you talking about, babies?
I'm just talking to myself because Eric's taking a pee. So.
Oh, okay.
And I said maybe, not babies.
Oh, well, we'll go with that.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
So-
Hello.
Alright.
Hello.
So we're just waiting on Joe.
I think isn't Mark coming?
Yeah, I thought Mark was coming.
Well, yeah, Mark said he was going to be late though.
Oh,
I was gonna say I hope he didn't watch this for no reason.
So we'll go when Joe gets here. What are we going to talk about at the top? I don't even know.
oh.
Heavy mouth breathing Russell Crowe. New Hellraiser trailer.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
I saw
could.
people talking. I haven't watched it.
Go watch it right now because I'm sure we'll wait on Joe for a minute.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It doesn't sound like I need to watch it.
No, it's
Since nobody else is on here yet, you know what I've been watching TV wise that's been quite enjoyable is The Runaways on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
That's a new Marvel one about a group of kids whose parents are all supervillains that the kids didn't know at first, and they found out, and now they've been slowly revealing that the kids have powers and stuff as they fight their parents. It's pretty cool.
Wait, why are they fighting their parents?
Because their parents are supervillains, and they find out they're doing something to like destroy the Earth or something.
I need recommendations for like Amazon Prime shows. I need to feel like I'm like getting more out of
Dude.
that.
Sneaky Pete is like my jam. I love that show. It is
What is
so good.
I need to get caught up on that. I watched the first one and we liked it, but we never got back to watching all of them.
What is it?
Sneaky Pete?
It's Giovanna Ribisi, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Hand of God's pretty good too. It's a little hard to get into, but I did like that. And then, what's the one with Billy Bob Thornton? That one was really good, and that's on Hulu. I'll have to look it up.
Hey Joe.
Hey guys.
Hi, Joe.
I like your almost Kyle hairdo you got going on there.
I don't want to say anything, but Kyle and I have taken our relationship to texting.
I'm very proud of you too.
Well, we can talk
Oh,
about it on the show.
He didn't mention it. Oh, okay.
He's still shy, Joe. It's early in the relationship.
Lucky
he
for
didn't
both
bring
of
it
you
up.
guys, we have nothing to talk about off of the top of the show here, so now we do.
What am I looking for? Oh, hold on.
Are we waiting for Mark?
Goliath.
No, we're not waiting for Mark.
All right, I figured. Was that good? I read that.
That Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah. Really? No,
Yeah.
Kyle and I both watched it. Really liked it. Like the first,
Well,
like,
Kyle liked it.
I know. If the first like maybe 2 episodes are kind of hard to get into, but I mean it's just a little slow because there's a lot of like building that goes on, but it turns out to be really good.
Do you guys watch Peaky Blinders?
No, I've been meaning. I watched the first season. I've been meaning to get caught up though, and I've heard it's gotten like
amazing.
really good.
It's so good. It's the best show on TV or on Netflix. It's so good.
Hey, Cece,
Huh?
what you eating there?
I'm trying to finish eating something.
No, I'm genuinely curious.
Oh,
After our discussion of Southern cuisine on Slack.
it was just,
You
it
got
was
some
not
chicken pasta.
it was not any chicken pasta or turkey spaghetti. No, it was just fruit with.
You got some possum spaghetti.
Only
Found a possum on the side of the road. Put it in the pasta maker.
Joe, only on special
Ridiculous.
occasions.
Yeah, that takes a lot to get the KitchenAid out and shove it through there. So
Holidays are coming. We're gonna make some possum pasta.
I was gonna say that's like Christmas specialties.
yeah.
All right, everybody mute.
Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. I mean, I know that sounds presumptuous, right? Exciting, but we have just a really special movie to talk about tonight. We are reviewing, it wasn't a joke, Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
I realized a lot of people, I think, thought it was
God.
a joke, including
Well,
Mark.
Mark got
It
on
should have
Slack.
been.
Mark got on Slack and was like, "Wait, that wasn't a joke." He
Yeah.
got all mad. I am the host for this evening. Joining me tonight, first up, he drinks beer. He lives in Chicago, and has struck up a long-distance bro-ship with Cece's husband. His name is Joe.
Yes.
We're planning guys' weekend getaways as we speak. At least I am. I assume he is too. I just
Yeah, I mean, I knew you were texting. I just, I try not to intrude.
Right.
I try to let things happen organically.
It's funny the other day. So we were texting and we were talking about this band, the Dillinger Escape Plan, and he asked me like what my favorite album was. So I replied with it, and then just silence. And I'm like, oh god, is that the wrong answer?
No.
It's literally like you're texting a girl.
And then like a day later, I text him. I'm like, I'll change it if you want me to.
Listen, he works in the TV business, so Eric can tell you it gets really busy during the day. So
Sure.
I was totally kidding. I hate that. That's a stupid album. I don't even like it. It was just
Joe's next text like 4 hours later. Are you mad at me? Question mark! Exclamation point. Was it something I
what
said?
happened? I'll change.
I love it.
Next
I love
up
it.
on the show, the loneliest part of this romantic triangle. She's the
she's
the
alone, but not lonely.
she's the high priestess of books at Bloody Good Horror. Please welcome Cece to the show.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, Cece. And finally, tonight joining us from Indiana, please welcome Casey to the show.
I'm getting a little jealous of Kyle there. I think.
I mean, hey.
What's
Whatever
Sophie's
happens,
boyfriend's
happens.
name? I'm
I'm
gonna
not-
go talk to him.
I'm not
Jeremy.
jealous. I'm not jealous. What I've learned about Joe is he loves each person in their own way.
Yeah.
You know, there
or not at all.
there's enough of Joe to go around, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, The Mummy.
We should move on.
Mark will be joining us later. He's on his new I don't know what you call it, like
Parenting.
kind of like Tom Cruise. Like I imagine he just shows up whenever he wants to on set because like he's just like, well, I'm Tom Cruise. I do what I
Where's
want."
my smoothie?
Yeah, demands his trailer and all that.
I can imagine Tom Cruise was there every freaking day, 24 hours a day.
Oh man.
We we were gonna review the Insidious: The Last Key or something, whatever that weird movie's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it was just kind of a weird thing. Everybody couldn't make it out to the theater, and we started talking about a video pick, and then I said The Mummy, and then people agreed, and then that's how this happened.
And here we
I
are.
want to.
Hey, it's a service we provide here at Bloody Good Horror. Thank you very much.
It's true. No,
This is the first time we've ever explained ourselves.
I know.
Look, this is what happened.
is it? Yeah,
Keep
maybe,
listening. The next show will be better.
You're right. Maybe it's better. No, this is gonna be a fun show.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better if we just don't explain it, Joe. We just let people experience it for
Just let
themselves.
it happen.
Who saw the? Speaking of terrible things, who saw that Hellraiser trailer that came out today?
Oh yeah.
Something.
I was confused because I could have sworn, and I don't read horror news because I'm not a masochist, but I could have sworn that they were doing like a legitimate remake with Clive Barker and Doug Bradley on board, and what happened to that? Am I the only one who heard that?
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, I think you are.
I'm gonna Google it right now because that's what I'm.
Maybe that's in your dreams. It's probably in a lot of people's dreams, actually.
March 18th, March 18th, 2017. Clive Barker gives an update on the Hellraiser reboot. Don't get your hopes up.
Oh.
So it was happening
Hey.
at one point.
Brad Miska says it's surprisingly awesome.
Wait, seriously?
Ed Miska.
No. No, it's fucking butt duty. Is that trailer? So I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but
Man,
that's false.
that's
It looks exactly like the last time Dimension made a movie because they had to keep the rights, and they got some like dude with like a dad bod to be Pinhead, and they shot it on like a Sony Handycam. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but it's
Oh yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was the last
so
one, right?
what?
Is this the same guy, do you think?
No, it's
No,
not.
it
'cause
looked
he's-
like-
Well, if it is, he's been working out. So good for him.
it looked like a new out of work actor that they picked to be the most one
gonna-
of the most iconic horror icons ever.
I'm gonna go to
Guys,
the bottom
what
of
if
this.
Tom Cruise was Pinhead?
Oh, he could be Pinhead. He could do anything.
He's
I
so
think he is a
short.
He
pinhead.
could be anything.
Tom could do.
Anything he wants.
Yeah.
Isn't that how he dresses for church on Sundays?
Listen, CC, spoiler alert, he becomes a mummy at the end of this movie when he's never actually a mummy. So I don't see how anything could hold him back from his dreams.
I'm
Praise-
there
praise
with
the
you.
Lord.
Spoilers.
But anyway,
Oh,
Hellraiser looks
yeah.
bad, and people who made it should feel bad. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's a different guy.
No, I mean, listen, not that Doug Bradley, who's got to be like 60 by now, is hanging out at home hoping that somebody wants to put 4 hours of prosthetic makeup on him every day to make a movie. But I don't know. It's like when they got Jackie Earle Haley to do Freddy. He did a pretty amazing job, but it's still just not the same thing. So
Although we did get to see Doug Bradley hitting on chicks at the bar in Indianapolis, so that was cool.
yeah. One of my first ever horror convention experiences, I got the entire cast of Hellraiser 2 to sign like an original one sheet from 1988 or whatever. Lost that poster. Have no idea where it is.
Oh no.
I have multiple
Aw.
copies of like terrible posters, but I lost that one. So
How are you gonna retire?
I know.
Whew.
It's not about retiring, Joe. It's just about putting it up on a wall and staring at it and making me happy.
He's gonna be like, what's his name? That was the last Jason, and he's just gonna keep showing up at conventions and telling people his story about his lost Hellraiser 2 poster.
Yeah, exactly.
Just another brick in the wall of Laura's resentment towards you.
Oh, Joe. Joe. Glass houses is all I'm saying.
That fucking Hellraiser poster.
Hey, Cece. Hey, Cece. Are you there?
Cece.
Yes, I
What?
can hear you. You were breaking up.
This just in. What's happening with the book club?
We are reading Nick Cutter's Little Heaven, which is kind of a culty book. We will be halfway through it next week. And I've got the schedule, yes, the full schedule for 2018 posted. So you can hop in whenever you feel like it. I think Joe said he was going to read a book with us in the summer.
I know. I want to talk.
I started Final Girls.
I
that's
wanted
it.
to talk about that. So, Cece, you put out like the schedule for the year, or just like half the year, or what, for the book club?
No, so the whole year. So you've got 12 books, one book a month, all the way through December. So you can buy them, ahead of time, or rent them and do whatever. And if you want to read with us, then we'll be talking about it that month.
So it cracked me up because Joe got into the book club Slack and was like, "Hey, I bought the book for May. Fingers crossed."
Might be done.
I think it was a coincidence that he had bought that book.
Yeah.
No, I went to the library. All right, I don't buy.
Oh,
books.
good.
Yeah.
Hey,
See, the problem.
even better, support libraries.
I feel like I can't get books from the library because it's going to take me way too long to read it.
You can.
Um,
I mean,
you
you can just renew it.
yeah.
That's what overdue fines are for, dude.
Yeah.
Although I have had books out that I am legitimately reading that get to the point where they're like, you can't renew this anymore.
Right.
You're an idiot. Like if you're not going to finish it, just give up.
You are a dummy. You should bring this book back now and just give up.
And I
Go ahead.
Oh no, I think I already read the book for November. Also, right? Isn't
Wow.
Jack Sparks the?
Oh,
last
yeah,
day?
yeah. So
Yeah.
two.
I'm sure I'll
Good.
remember that in 8 months. That'll be
Well,
great.
I was about to say that's kind of the hard part of reading it ahead of time is that once we finally get there, you have to remember it.
That's different from Nicholas Sparks, right?
Yes,
Okay, good.
quite different.
Good.
Yeah, it's the sketchbook instead of the notebook.
Ah,
Yeah,
gotcha. That makes sense.
the murder book. You missed it. It was a really good opportunity for that, and no one picked it up.
Game of Thrones. Eric reading Game of Thrones Watch 2018.
Yes.
I'm still rating Game of Thrones. I'm about, let's call it, 37% of the way through Dance with Dragons.
I mean, that's
Have they
pretty
found the
impressive.
ring yet?
though.
You know what's happening? You know what's happening this season, and then we'll move on. I know nobody cares. It's
I care. I care about these things.
I didn't think this would happen, but it's retroactively ruining the entire show for me. Because
Oh, well, I
Dear
kind of figured that
Penthouse.
would happen. I
Because-
was really surprised that because the show put you onto the books that it took this long
Oh
for
my
you
God.
to
Well,
think that the show is
speci-
ruining.
specifically books 4 and even more so 5, the
Mhm.
stories are so divergent, but all of the like late season threads that they just totally boned up on the show are like
Yeah.
kind of amazing in the books, and the scope just like keeps widening, and I'm just like, oh my god, why do they do this, and why do they do this, and
Yeah.
then they do this, and it's just like, so yeah, there it is.
Well, I'm sorry. That's why you just have to see them as two separate entities that happen to
But,
share
like,
the same backstory.
I'm enjoying it so much. I'm almost nervous I'm not gonna be able to read another book, and I'm like, maybe I should just start them over when I finish it,
Just keep a cycle going.
and then I could just continue these updates until like 2020.
Yeah.
I got some more really fat fantasy novels that you probably dig after reading those that I can recommend you.
Okay, there's no way I can read fantasy next.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna try to read Annihilation, even though Shnar says I'm not smart enough.
Oh man. Yeah.
Hey Joe,
Yeah, what's up, man?
speaking of feeling that you're not smart enough, and
Annihilation.
drowning your sorrows, what are we drinking tonight?
Beer guts.
I mean, if ever there was a movie that should probably be enjoyed with a beverage, it might be this one.
I got a good one.
Two of 'em.
I'm really excited about this pick, and I'm really happy that I haven't used it before because I checked. The Mummy, I don't think you really need to have me explain it to you, but I picked a beer from those fine folks at Dogfish Head Brewing Company down in Milton, Delaware, and this is their Tahankin, or Tahankit? Tahankit, I think is how you pronounce it. So it's like a quote-unquote wheat beer, but doesn't really taste like your typical like Hoegaarden or anything like that. It's part of what they called their Ancient Ale series. So they did a bunch of beers sort of inspired or even based off of like old recipes from days of yore. This one, the story goes that they actually used some ingredients that they found when they were exploring the pyramids.
Oh.
So apparently, like a lot of the hieroglyphics actually gave like recipes and things like that, and this was for something along the lines of like what would have been not a beer, but like an alcoholic drink. They actually went over to Egypt and put these sort of open containers out and collected some of the natural yeast that's like in the air and use that in the brewing process. So it's a really like it's a fascinating. They have a couple videos about how they did it and kind of the backstory. And there was actually Dogfish had a show like years ago where they talked about like each one of their beers and tried different stuff, and they talked about this one a lot. If you can track that down, it's really interesting. But
it sounds like it's made with fresh mummy squeezins.
a little bit, yeah. They just throw dirty rags in there. It only comes in at 4.5% alcohol, so it's really low. It comes in like the big bomber or like champagne bottle almost, so you can drink that whole thing and you're gonna be fine. You should probably have like 3 or 4 of those if you're watching this movie. Flavor it's kind of hard to explain. I think the way that they put it is pretty good. Chamomile, dumb plum fruit, Middle Eastern herbs. Like it's hard to explain. Like you really just have to try, but it's definitely very good. And it's something like if you have friends that don't like the taste of like like traditional beer, like this is something they could probably get into.
Huh. The great thing about mummy yeast is a little bit goes a long way, I've heard.
Jeez.
Just a smidge. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about Dogfish Head a lot. They're one of my favorite breweries. They just do some really interesting stuff, and this is a perfect example of that type of beer. So
yeah, I really love the stuff they do with like and just generally, this is a thing I like when people sort of deconstruct ancient recipes, and because that's interesting. Like I feel like we take for granted the idea that we don't actually really know the way people ate a lot of times and what their lives were like, and so it's kind of a cool little look into it.
I mean, it's really like a lot of the stuff that they do kind of follows this. Another beer in the same series is their the Midas Touch, which I think I've actually done for a show before, and like that they actually used like pretty much the breakdown that they found in a few pots and like sort of they examine them and what the hell you do it like when you take samples like almost whatever the hell they do on like CSI.
That's a proton pack.
Yeah, exactly. And use like what they thought a recipe would have been that they got from that. Like they just do like super interesting stuff. So even if you don't like the taste of like one of their beers, like you can still kind of appreciate like the effort they put into it. So
nice.
Well, there you go.
I want to nominate a second beer, Joe.
Oh, hey.
Just as an addendum to this, I think just given this movie, you could have also done that time that you tried to make a chocolate peanut butter beer and it smelled like baby shit.
Like baby duty, yeah.
Yeah, like that's actually kind of also perfect.
Baby poop.
Like if
order.
you went back and deconstructed the recipe for this movie, #1 ingredient would be baby diarrhea.
It's probably good because something definitely got into the process and soured it.
And it went bad.
Terribly.
Jeez.
Something found its way into what would have been a beautiful thing and soured it real bad.
And it's got
Fatent.
something, and it's got brown hair and dead eyes. And with that, it is time.
Oh man.
Let us take a break so that we can discuss The Mummy.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch.
Main feature.
And we're back. Joe, are we gonna have to fight over who gets to synopsize this movie?
No, I was totally being sarcastic.
No, I'm actually kind of excited about it. I usually don't want to when Schnars is out, but The Mummy. So no word of the day today, no Schnars. Actually, Cece, I would have called on you, but I didn't remind you. You're still.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I was trying to stay on top of the ball, but I was just. This movie just,
Listen, if you
got me all bamboozled.
If you get bored during the show and look one up, let me know and we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
How's that? So. And I might need some help because this whole thing's kind of a blur. But so listen, this guy, his name is Tom Cruise. For all intents and purposes, we'll just call him Tom Cruise in this movie.
Okay, great.
And he is like a thing that I am sure does not exist, which is like a cool, hip artifact hunter that goes around with the military in the Middle East, presumably fighting ISIS to and
Sure.
so here you go. Let's real world ties to this movie, Cece. ISIS has been known to destroy artifacts when they move into an area, and so what they do is him and his sexy lady sidekick, who's not really a sidekick, and maybe they had sex once, and maybe it was good, but maybe it wasn't. They go in together it's unclear that they actually work together because they don't seem to have the same goals.
I think she's a real archaeologist and he's something else.
He's just like there, basically, you know, like.
Mhm.
But I'm actually getting ahead of myself because this movie first starts off with a 10-minute flashback info dump to explain to you who the mummy is and how she got mummied.
Yes.
Like, just they just lay it all out.
You got mummied.
So then we cut to modern. So basically, we know that this lady made some kind of like Egyptian devil pact for power or something. But before she could like unleash her full plan, she's murdered because she's caught murdering like her family or something. They they mummify her and like then they take her far away for some reason. They have some BS reason for it. They take her far away and they like bury her in a tomb in a pool of mercury for some reason. And then they
Well,
put
dude, you don't bury evil in your backyard.
well,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, but wouldn't you want to keep an eye on it though?
No, but that's how you end up with the gate.
Okay. So they bury her far away. She's in a pool of mercury. They have sentries, whatever. Bam, it's modern day. Tom Cruise is like a coked up weirdo in the desert. Jake Johnson is like his hapless sidekick who, for the love of God, someone give Jake Johnson like a good movie role and not this horseshit.
I know,
But, like,
please.
He's like the goofy sidekick, and Tom Cruise forces him to jump into a firefight with like 100 ISIS guys.
As you do.
Suddenly they're on a roof with no explanation as to how, and they're being shot at by all these guys. And then Jake Johnson, quote unquote, calls in an airstrike, which like that happens 15 seconds later, blows a big hole in this building. The ISIS guys run away, and then the building collapses, and they find that they've opened up this tomb.
I'm still not sure how he called it an airstrike. Like, is
He
that?
had a radio.
He just held his hand up
Yeah.
to his ears like this and was like, "Airstrike."
But like, who do they work for? And,
Those
like, is
guys
that a
were in the
feature?
army.
no,
right?
but like they didn't seem to be in the army, but they appear to have the ability to call an airstrike from the
Yeah.
army.
Like,
I
is
thought
that
they were
on
in the
new
army
iPhone
because
or
they were
something?
Well, I
they were
mean-
worried about that captain coming down.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
them.
they're just contractors, so like
Ah.
the army
Right.
knows they're there. It's just they're, on the fringe of authority.
The
is what it
actual-
And
is.
we'll like bring in an airstrike like at a moment's
Yeah,
notice.
I don't know that anyone has the authority to do that who's a contractor that way, but okay.
Like, is
Like-
that a feature on the new iPhone? Like, if you like swipe up like on the home screen, like you can just do that.
So
Yeah, it's that emergency dial.
they are forced to go down there with this lady who's like 20 years younger than Tom Cruise, but somehow his love interest. Sort of. They go down and like in the beginning of the movie, Tom Cruise's character seems only interested in like stealing artifacts, and
Right.
everyone around him seems to know this, and yet they still send him in to check out artifacts. Like everyone talks about it openly, like
Mhm.
it's not an international crime to do that, and it's like perfectly okay. So like they, of course, he's like very Indiana Jonesy, like Han Solo-y. They're like, oh, what's in the pool of mercury? And he's like, I don't know, I'm gonna shoot this string, and then he shoots it, and then the whole thing opens up, and her coffin comes out. They open it up. Then we quickly end up in the scene on the plane, which was big in the trailers, where the birds smash into the plane and the plane crashes. Kind of a cool scene. I will give it that. It's like there are some good like action movie moments. But the plane crashes. They wake up, like Tom Cruise wakes up nude in a hospital because they thought he was dead, and he's basically like unscathed. And he soon finds out that he now has like she saved his life somehow, and they're connected somehow now. And so we spend like the rest of the first act with her like chasing him. Then they're all captured by these like shady agents who turn out to work for Russell Crowe. At which point, Russell Crowe, Jekyll, doctor, and we go back to his weird, totally nonsensical like monster
lab.
hideout lair. And then there's like an hour of exposition about who Russell Crowe is and what's happening. We're gonna get to that later, but I want to kind of dig into it here. Joe,
Oh,
what did you think of this movie?
I mean, we had talked about reviewing this over the summer, and I think we, at the end of the day, decided not to because it didn't look great. But I mean, I kind of had hopes of this just being a fun movie. I think looking back at like the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, like they're not high art by any means, but they were a lot of fun, and I always really enjoyed those. I was kind of expecting the same from this, but it fell flat on like every level. Tom Cruise is awkward at this point. Like he's 55, which, you know, I think someone like would those Die Hard movies I think are still entertaining, but I think it's not Bruce Willis trying to play a younger guy and pretend something he's not. Where
Right.
at this point, I feel like Tom Cruise is like. There's a
It's-
lot of like uncomfortable flirting between him and the love interest in this, and it comes off more as like this old guy kind of preying on this young girl, like, and it just
It's kind of sad, honestly. Like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is
Yeah.
super HGH'd out in this movie. Like
yeah, like
man
it's,
pecs, abs, like the whole thing. And he looks mostly normal, but there's some lighting that makes him look like he's wearing his own like a mask of himself. Like
There's
one of those
definitely, like-
hyper
Oh, there's
realistic
a lot of that.
one of those hyper realistic face masks they make. And it's like, you know, there's something to be said about an old actor just aging and then aging into different interesting parts, right?
yeah,
Like, you
Right.
don't,
exactly.
you
For
don't have
sure.
to play the same part your whole fucking life.
Like there's,
Yeah.
and you know, he looks, in his defense, like he looks amazing for
Right,
his age. Like,
but-
he's in great shape, but like at a certain point, like you don't need to be shirtless all the time, and like you don't need to prove to me that you're still in great shape, because there's a few shots where he starts to look like what the heck's his name? That guy from the first Men in Black movie where he's just like wearing a human skin, and it's kind of like it's not really like super.
It's
doesn't
unsettling.
fit with- Yeah.
And the funny
It's
thing is,
strange.
like, the other movie was gonna star, like, everybody who was gonna be in this franchise before it died because of this movie is like kind of also unsettling old guys in a weird way, like Johnny Depp and Russell Crowe.
Yeah. We'll get to
Ew.
Russell Crowe in this too.
Who is Johnny Depp supposed to be?
He was gonna be the
He was gonna
Invisible
be the
Man,
Invisible Man.
Oh,
which actually I guess would have worked out because I wouldn't have to look at him.
that's good.
But it kind of bounces around from wanting to be a comedy to wanting to be an action movie to, you know, wanting to be like, I don't know what. Like it never really landed, and it felt very sort of thrown together at a lot of parts. So it didn't work out.
CC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried not to immediately think this movie was going to be dog shit, but because I mean, I actually liked Dracula Untold for the most part. I mean, you know, it was just a light, like, kind of actiony, whatever, monster movie. And I thought like maybe they would try and make this Mummy a nice combination of the Brendan Fraser movies that are, you know, that's a little darker, but it just felt like Jack Reacher chasing after a mummy, and it was super weird. Like that, it couldn't decide. Like the funny parts weren't really funny, and the action parts were okay, but it was like they just, I mean, like Joe said, it didn't know what it wanted to be. So I'm sure that what it started out as was definitely not the finished product, because
Oh, yeah.
is it's crazy.
Casey.
Yeah, I loved it. No, not really. I had hopes for this movie for the most part. I mean, like Cece said, I don't think I ever saw Dracula Untold, but like I Frankenstein, which I don't think was part of the Dark Universe, but it had the potential to be. It was super cheesy, but at the same time, it had some entertaining qualities to it and stuff. I was hoping for something like that. It'd just be kind of a dumb action movie with mummies and stuff like that. And the commercials looked kind of cool, but at the same time, you knew it was going to be bad. But this movie turns out to be Info Dump the movie, which we'll get into, I'm sure. And they even had like the storyline set up because, like me being an old school Hammer fan, stuff like that, they even played with some of the storylines that was used in like Blood of the Mummy's Tomb, stuff like that. So, yeah, I had hopes, but you know, since it had Tom Cruise, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, and yeah. I can't really say anything more than what's already been said.
Yeah, I mean, I am like fascinated by this movie. Like it's
something.
painful,
All right.
as painful as it is to sit through. Like, I want to read a book about the making of this
Oh yeah,
movie.
I've got to imagine like in 20 years there's going to be a documentary about the
This-
making of this.
This
Oh,
movie is one of the hottest messes I have ever seen, and it's especially mind blowing when you look at the scope of like the release and the money spent and the stars involved.
Oh, for sure.
It's like if we just go to see some dumb studio horror movie called like The Haunting or something, and it's a mess, You're just kind of like, well, of course it is, because these things are garbage. But like, the idea that so many people with say along the way could have allowed this to get to this state is like mind blowing to me, and I'm so fascinated by it. Like, there was this Variety article that is so informative, just about Tom Cruise like bringing his own writers in, changing the script, basically directing the movie. Like, he brought in, if you read between the lines, it sounds like he kind of brought in somebody he had a sort of relationship with, that he kind of was young, that he knew he could just kind of take control of, and he basically just directed the movie himself. Then, and this is really telling too, like, he has his own editors, they said. So like, he brings in his own editors on movies, and like, that's not how you make a good movie, man. You don't,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
So, hey, Mark.
Well, I mean, they basically, anything that he works on becomes like a Scientology type project, right?
Yeah.
They kind of
Yeah, like
they kind of interwork themselves all the way through it.
There's so many problems here. Like, if you haven't seen it, it's almost impossible to like really make you understand. But it's like, it's trying to be 20 different things and not hitting any of them. The like, tone wise, it goes back and forth between like a literal Tom Cruise style action movie like Mission Impossible, a weird buddy comedy / like American Werewolf in London ripoff. There's actually a bunch of things. I wish I had written them down, but there's a bunch of things that are just kind of like ideas that are just stolen whole cloth from old horror movies, but not really in any kind of referential way. And one of them being this Jake Johnson basically just being the dude from American Werewolf in London, like haunting his friend. And like it, and then it also wants to be, sometimes it wants to be like a creepy gothic horror movie, and it doesn't do any of them well. Cruise's character was clearly just not intended to be what it is. There's this, maybe the funny scene in the movie is him arguing with Russell Crowe in the Crow monster lair, and Russell Crowe saying, "You may be a young man, but blah blah blah," and I like, I literally did a like.
You may be a young virile sex monster.
Like, I did a spit take, and as someone pointed out, Tom Cruise is fucking older than Russell Crowe. So like,
That's
and
amazing.
it's such a stark thing too. Whoever thought it'd be a good idea to get the two of them in the same room,
Yeah.
was an idiot, because Russell Crowe like looks his age. He's like, he's gray and he's a little paunchy and like looks kind of old. And Tom Cruise
Also,
is
Crow has been hitting the Cheetos hard.
Yeah, he is.
the Cheetos. So like, then yeah. So, but the first act, as off as it is immediately, there's some kind of cool scenes. Then we hit the Russell Crowe monster lair in Act 2, and we spend like 45 minutes there of just
Spend a lot of time in the lair.
info dumps and conversations. And at that point, the mummy, who's like kind of the most important character in the movie, almost disappears, and it's just Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe talking bullshit at each other. It's not even clear to me. They fucked something up really bad in the scene that had to have happened in the editing. It's completely unclear to me how long they're there. Like, are they there for a day or like 6
That's a
months?
valid point. Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
idea. It's
Yeah.
really.
At some point, I was
Say
like, wait a
it
minute.
felt like a day.
At some point, I
watching
was
it.
like, wait a minute. Have these people like slept or eaten? Like, are they wearing different? It was starting to really like fuck with my head. Maybe it was a mummy power thing. I don't know. But then the mummy breaks out in the dumbest like not Inspector Gadget, like the dumbest like James Bond villain scene ever. The mummy's able to like break her way out, and I don't know. We can wait to get to it, I guess, because Mark's got to go. But like the ending itself is such a beautiful microcosm of how dumb this movie is that we just really have to kind of break it down shot by shot. But Mark, welcome to the show. What'd you think of this?
Thanks. I thought this movie was terrible. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit every point. Like, it's, first of all, it's way too long for what it is, and it's like 3 different movies, and it's also, you know, I compare this in scale to something like an Underworld movie with like, you know, which are generally convoluted, full of these like plot dumps, tons of like over the top effects that all sort of get muddied. And this is that, but like not interesting. They're like it's not fun, you know, it's kind of trying to be funny, but it's actually really boring. The first time I watched it, I fell asleep, and I ended up having to watch it again. 'Cause it's just like it's not even compelling in its badness, unfortunately. It's just really, really hard to get through.
It's like, what if they took one of those Underworld movies and added $100 million onto the budget, but no extra talent, and like that airplane action scene is a AAA blockbuster action scene. Like that was an
Well, I was going to say,
expensive
it's not
ass scene.
necessarily that that it's missing talent, because like, I mean, like Casey and I were talking about the lady who plays the mummy, Sophia, whatever her name is. I think that she's a really,
Butella.
yes, I think she's going to be a really great actress, and I think she has a lot of potential. But it's like, what do you do when you're up against this like monolith of Tom Cruise, who is like literally blocking everything? Like, this movie is called The Mummy, and we literally see her maybe 20 minutes out of the entire time because it's
Yeah.
just the Tom Cruise show.
Yeah, in China, it's going to be called Botox Scientologist, I think.
And Lord knows
Yeah.
how much, Lord knows how much good work that like her and Jake Johnson did in this movie.
Oh yeah.
That got edited out by Tom Cruise's people.
Poor Jake
Poor Jake
Johnson. Like,
Johnson.
to be fair, like, so Joe has no idea who he is, so this is gonna be a running thing. Have you ever seen The New Girl, Joe?
No,
He's
I
on that
won't watch
show,
the
and he's
Ditch
actually
now.
he's on that show. He's actually really funny. But like, the last thing I saw him in a movie was fucking Jurassic World, where he's playing the same dumbass, like, goofy sidekick one-liner guy, and it is
Yeah.
what it is. Casey, were you the one that was saying that Cruise forced him to do his own stunts in this movie?
No,
No,
that's what
that
I
was in that
telling you.
article.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, but it's in the article where like Jake Johnson, like it's in the article, and then there was an interview where he was talking about it too, and like basically he came in and Jake came in not expecting to do any of the stunts because like those are pretty intense things.
yeah, because that's
And
a
Tom Cruise
dumb
was like,
thing to
no,
do.
if I'm gonna do them, then you have to do them, and like basically gave him like this do it or die kind of pep talk, and made him get in shape.
I love the idea of like this movie being like a Tropic Thunder kind of situation, and like
It
Cruise,
sounds good. That's a
like,
really good
but I
analogy.
love that relationship though, and that picture in my head of like Cruise doesn't realize how crazy he's being and how terrifying it is, and he's just way into it and all coked up, and
Oh,
Jake
yeah.
Johnson's scared, and Cruise is like, "This is the best, isn't it?" Like slapping him on the back, because like,
Well, and, like,
if you
We're
think
gonna
about
get
it,
Oscars.
if you think about it, they're riding horses through the desert. They're like
Yeah.
doing flips off of like roofs and like rappelling into caverns, and like there's a lot of like stunts in this movie, and now like it makes it way funnier to know that he was being forced to do that.
Yeah. Well, and he's not even in it that long. Like, you would think that if you were going to have to work that hard to do your own stunts, that would carry on through the movie. And I mean, how much, like, he's in the movie maybe 15 minutes? Like, he's almost in it as little as the Mummy is.
My
How
dream
many
The
stunts
more
do you
I
he
think
was,
about
like,
it-
forced to do that he like end up on like the
got
chopping
cut.
block? Like he almost
Probably
died in
a
these
lot.
scenes. And they're like, no, it's not gonna make
I was
it. Sorry.
hanging upside down for 2 days and you didn't even use it.
Like the fuck, I forgot. What
The more I think about it, I'm actually struggling to think of like a single shot in this movie that doesn't have Tom Cruise in it.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think I would have hated it as much if the
Well-
movie was actually like, okay, well, let's
Dude.
focus on the mummy, like her
The
actually doing something.
the entire plot of the movie is that they wake the mummy up and she wants to like spirit bang Tom Cruise
Yeah.
for no
it's
reason. For
Tom Cruise
literally
becoming a mummy.
anyone that can explain to me why she cares about Tom Cruise, I would love to hear it.
Well, because
Because he's Tom Cruise.
Because he fucks.
he's I'm assuming that she cares about Tom Cruise because he's the one who, like, I don't know, opened her tomb or whatever. Use
Excuse
that
me.
symbolism.
Go on.
to what?
Cece,
Blew the
that is-
cobwebs out, so to speak.
Cece, that
Yes.
is filthy.
Jesus.
But like, so here's the other thing, like, just generally about the story. There are
Got cobwebs.
4 info dumps in the first hour of this movie, including the opening 10-minute one. There's a 10-minute info dump, like a maybe 10-minute scene in the desert, and then another info dump about the dagger. Did you guys? I'm just now remembering there's a whole thing about Knights Templar in this movie.
Yeah.
Which,
Yes.
when I think mummies in the Egyptian desert, I think Knights Templar immediately. And like, there's a
well, I mean-
dagger. Don't give me a history list, Stacey. I get it.
Okay.
There's like a dagger
Sure.
with a ruby in it that's really important for some reason, and like London is key. It's impossible to follow in a lot of ways, and that's even before you get to the Russell Crowe Monster Lab, and then it just flies off the rails.
Well, it's like they decided to have her buried in England so that it was cheaper than to have to be in like
Right.
Egypt or the desert to actually film. They were like, okay, well, we'll only be here for a week, and then everything
no,
else will be
Like she was buried in Egypt, right? But the dagger was buried with the Templar under London, or like in this London cavern.
No, the stone was buried.
the stone.
With the
Yeah.
Templar.
Right?
Yeah.
They found the dagger somewhere else. I think.
I mean, it's too bad because Knights Templar are actually really cool, and
Yeah.
but it's not very cool here.
There's
well,
just other things they dropped. Like they mention it. It's like, oh well, here let's talk about the Knights Templar. Let's talk about like why they hid these artifacts and these kind of altars, and then it's just bizarre. Like they focus more on her wanting to spirit bang Tom Cruise, which has no like real basis.
I mean, I didn't need the Variety article to know that this is at least 4 different concepts stitched together.
Yeah. I mean, spirit banging Tom Cruise had a purpose. Why
it
it was
did.
Tom Cruise, I don't know. She
Right,
wanted to
okay.
spirit. He was her chosen for whatever reason. We have no idea why. But if she stabbed him with the special dagger, with the special rock, she turned him into her walking god, living god lover.
Or like
Exactly.
Stabbed him with the special dagger.
But my,
Yeah.
Do you think that means he has spirit fingers?
Do you guys think the dagger is a reference to Jason Goes to Hell?
Sure.
It must be.
I think it is.
Absolutely.
See, I think Cece's right though that I didn't really. I mean, I guess it didn't. I just lost that thread, but I'd be like, he opened the tomb, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I think it's because like she says that to the archaeologist, like the blonde archaeologist. She's like, you brought him to me, so he's like the first one to interact with her. So I'm assuming she just like what is it in Twilight? She imprints on
like
him
her,
or some
her
shit.
powers,
I don't know.
Her powers are very vague and hard to define, which is really convenient for filmmaking's sake. 'Cause
She
you
can produce a large quantity of dust in a very short period
Yeah.
of time.
Have you ever played Dishonored, Mark? You know how like you can summon a swarm of rats in Dishonored? Like she does that at one point.
Yeah, she does.
It's true.
There are
There's
nuggets.
all the rats that are very considerate to not climb over Tom Cruise's face.
And they
when
didn't actually
filming.
like they didn't bite him or anything. They just kind of
No.
they made him feel icky.
Yeah,
Well, they were afraid they were going to tear the mask.
Right.
they were just re-patting it down. They were making sure all the
Guys,
scenes
I only
show.
have 2 more human masks in my trailer tonight, okay? Let's
Do not fuck these up, rats.
yeah.
Oh man.
Well, that's what's frustrating about this movie is there are nuggets of a decent movie in here. Now, there's
No.
not. It's not going to be
No.
an Oscar winner. It's not going to
I
be
don't know
anything
about
that's going to
that.
blow your mind. There's some elements in this movie that, if it was put together right, they got rid of Tom Cruise, edited it better.
I
It
mean,
could've
that's
been
like
decent.
saying though, if this was a
Redid the whole
completely
movie.
different movie, it would have been good.
Well,
Well,
I don't know.
that's
but
fair, but like the Templar storyline was decent, and her storyline was decent, and like the CGI work they did on the mummy chick to make her look all decrepit and stuff was actually fairly awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I,
just-
did. I thought she was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the bummer of this whole thing.
I can't
Right.
even. I mean, so like we can kind of talk about. We got to talk about Russell Crowe because, like, given that the kind of purpose of this film, right, was to launch this series, I have been legitimately thinking about this for like 48 hours since I saw this movie. I can't wrap my head around what this series would have even looked like, especially given where Tom Cruise ends up in the end. Like, maybe he doesn't even factor into the other movies, and it's just Russell Crowe. But it kind of seemed to me like they were leaving him out there to potentially be involved. Which
Well,
would-
you know,
like
at some
they
point
were-
they're going to have the monster Avengers, right?
let's put it this
Well,
way.
that's exactly what it felt like
Well,
they were
that- but,
trying
like,
to do.
how-
Like,
But how does it
Yeah.
even, how does that even work? So that means you have to turn every monster into a good guy, and then what do they fight? Tell me what they fight.
Yeah.
that's what.
Well,
Jason-
that's a fair point, but like Frankenstein wasn't inherently evil.
Well, and
that's
technically,
fine.
I mean, if Tom Cruise is the mummy and that's like he's the star, then he wasn't necessarily evil either. He just likes to steal shit. So
Well, they made a comment though towards the
Yeah,
end.
that's
Russell Crowe said something about he would be constantly fighting between the dark and the light
oh,
when they're
God.
after
I
the
f-
end
I
when
feel like
right before he
he
put on
was
his mummy clothes and rode off
horrible.
into
So
the dust.
somebody explained to me, like, based on just seeing this movie, what was Russell Crowe's plan?
Fuck, I don't
He
know.
had a plan. Like I thought he just was like hanging out.
Like, all I
Yeah.
thought was that he was saying that, like, evil is a disease, so he's trying to, like, learn more about it, right?
Yeah, because he was talking about like immunization, right? So
And the woman was saying like when she turned, they're like, "Oh, I thought we were just going to study the evil, not like chop her up or whatever."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think we mentioned Russell Crowe plays Dr. Jekyll,
Yeah.
yes.
which,
Which-
I guess in theory he would have had his own spin-off movie. Like,
Oh
it's
God,
just-
it hurts to think
I'll
about.
be honest. Russell Crowe made me more uncomfortable than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I agree. Because Tom Cruise is so it's just the same. But like
At least he has
it's-
abs.
That's not my gladiator.
No, it's
I mean,
I was
Russell
not
Crowe
entertained.
Joe,
literally was like
He's a
he like
50
took on the creepiness from Tom Cruise. It was like he was a sponge.
Yeah, so it's the problem is his performance. Like it's very
Weird.
unclear. Like, you're trying to make a franchise, and my understanding is Russell Crowe, this Jekyll character is gonna be pretty involved. But then he goes back and forth like he's I guess a villain here, but he's not. Like he saves Tom Cruise, but then we're supposed to kind of feel bad for the mummy because he's gonna like dissect her, but then he kind of saves them from the like. It is so.
It's
He's
baffling.
he's the Sam Jackson character, right, from the Avengers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but his motives and like his alignment are so unclear, which is incredible considering. Like Mark was messaging me today. He was watching it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we just got to Russell Crowe's Monster Lab." I'm like, "Oh, buckle up, baby, because you're gonna be there for like an hour of this movie.
Oh God.
You're there for so
I can
long."
guarantee, as far as like the whole Dark Universe goes, if you take from what I remember of the original like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde movies and stuff like that, Russell Crowe was doing something that was going to turn out to be, as they went through all these movies, completely selfish because he's trying to figure out how to cure himself from the Hyde thing.
Oh,
And that's
but I
why
mean-
he studied evil. They
Oh,
don't
okay.
explain that to us. That's
Right.
all my speculation.
no,
but
that's-
that's
That would make sense at least.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, all this technology, right? Don't you think Russell Crowe could invent some type of automatic dissemination system for his like anti-monster stuff? Whereas,
or at
like,
least come up with like a system where he doesn't have to do it like every 10 minutes.
He's got, like-
that
I know.
seems inconvenient.
he's got like an old-timey steampunk. It's like the needle from Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Like, remember
Yeah.
how they had like old-timey diabetes in that movie or something that they
well,
had?
it
like-
also had like 5 needles.
Old-timey diabetes, he says.
yeah, it was like a
I mean, I kind of like the aesthetic of the Monster Lab. It's a shame it's like the worst part of the
That
movie.
was cool. Like when they were walking in and like you saw because they like gave a bunch of like tips on like what the other movies are gonna be. Like you saw like Dracula's skull and they had the creature from the Black Lagoon hand. Like
Mhm.
I legitimately was like, oh cool, like this might actually be interesting. And then like Russell Crowe comes in like polishing off a 20-piece McNugget and like just
I feel like they made a huge mistake trying to turn these into us. Like, I get you're trying to make a universe, but they're not going to be superhero movies. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much potential in a dark gothic kind of universe that is trying to be maybe not scary, but at least moody and dark. And like,
Yeah.
you can feel the competing forces where that was maybe the point in the beginning, but then Tom Cruise like basically tried to turn it into like a Mission Impossible movie or something.
I mean, part
it
of the
doesn't.
issue.
The problem is it doesn't
and-
make sense for the material.
Yeah, and Eric and I
Yeah.
were talking about this a little bit earlier today. Like, these movies don't benefit from having. I mean, they have like kind of a vague backstory. All these Universal monsters have their own sort of story, but like when you're talking about an Avengers movie, right? You get a Thor movie, you get a Hulk movie, you get all these, but like you already kind of know these characters, and they can tell these really cool stories that then all come back together. And here, it's like they're really trying to, first of all, just making up all sorts of crazy bullshit that they like have to tell you about, and it's just so transparently about forming a franchise that you like can't watch the movie outside of that.
Well,
Like there's so
yeah.
much of this, they're like trying to basically tease you for a thing, but not give you any reason to care about that thing coming together at all.
but like, well, and that's the thing is like, let's not pretend like this came about because some artist somewhere was like, oh, I have this brilliant idea for this movie series. No, like a bunch of dudes in suits were like, we need a Marvel universe of our own. What do we own? And they looked at a blackboard and were like, well, I don't know. What about these stupid monsters we never do anything with? What if we just did like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
that's-
series
Yep.
is born out of pure cynicism and nothing else, which isn't to say that there couldn't be something here, but I'm not really convinced that even with like the right hand that you could do this, because putting these people in a universe in that way doesn't really make sense. And that's kind of what the movie's like struggling against the whole time, is that it's a silly idea and they kind of don't know how to approach it. Like, say what you want about Dracula Untold, but you could almost kind of see how that would have worked into larger movies. Plus it had Chucky dance, so
Chucky dance.
yeah.
Chucky Dance Revolution.
Sweet brother Moonsy. But yeah,
I mean, you come up with the best idea though, or you brought up the best point as far as like the whole dark universe thing is, because you could make the argument on a lot of these monsters, especially in the classic ones, that there was a good side to them. They weren't inherently evil. It was the people that created them or pushed them to them that were evil and made them evil. But what the hell are they going to fight?
right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Nazis. Boom.
Done. Also, why didn't they just call this
ISIS.
the Universal Verse?
Yeah.
The universe.
Yeah.
That's it. Just
Universal.
the universe.
Universal Circus.
Let's
All
talk.
right.
I want to talk about the ending because I really want to. So another thing they ripped off from another horror movie is.
Wait, hold on. Are we just gonna totally skip over the Tom Cruise fuck scene?
No, go ahead.
No, let's talk about that because I was watching this while I was at work, and that part happened, and I literally took my earphones out and was like, "What the hell is this movie?" And my coworker was like, "I don't want to know what you're having to watch." I was
Yeah,
like,
Cece, can you
it's-
explain it, please? Because I want to hear your take on it.
So you have a very typical scene, which would have been fine. Like it would have been a very lighthearted, like, chemistry moment between the two leads, where the archaeologist Jen is talking to Tom Cruise's character, and he like got up and left after their rendezvous, and she makes a comment that it was super short, and he goes like, it turns into a tirade of how great it was, how long it was, and how long it lasted. And it was just the most, and like they're standing there in front of the general, in front of Jake Johnson and like whoever else is around, and they can't move past, like every time she tries to say something else, Tom Cruise keeps talking about, no, it was great. I mean, she was super satisfied. And I was like, what is
Mark and I-
happening? Like that could have
Z
been a
News
good
spoke.
Mark and I were joking today of like picturing this image of like Tom Cruise like rewriting the script with his writers and being like, this part here where she questions my virility. What if instead she called me a jackhammer?
Jeez, what I mean, like
Like
it's
I love
such
the
a, it
idea
would-
of he's just in there getting in these little like it's gotta be.
Oh
Please
my God.
Please refer
What
to
if
me
she
as
said
he
like
who fucks.
it was too good and like I couldn't walk for 3 days?
Yeah,
Like
and
what
I-
if we went that route?
No man
well,
could ever
because like
satisfy
later
me
on
again.
you see that she like kind of cares about him, so you're like, okay, like that's a cute little like haha like jokey moment between two people like trying to like develop their chemistry, but instead
It's very clear that we found the all-powerful dagger already.
yes,
Well, but
very
that's, like-
clear that there's no one superior to Tom Cruise.
Even Tom
Ever.
What's funny
even-
is because I've been reading Leah Remini's new book,
Oh
Troublemaker,
God.
talking about her memoirs, getting out of the church and shit that happened there and stuff like that. He could just be genuinely confused because she makes it sound that like the praise and everything is how everybody in the church treats him anyway. So he may just be genuinely confused that somebody thought he only lasted 14 seconds in bed.
Well, but that I mean,
God.
how Tom Cruise is that, right? Though, like he doesn't understand that kind of deprecating joke is good for your character
Right.
and makes
Yeah.
you makes
Oh my
you
God.
like it makes you more
He- it-
relatable.
Yeah, it makes you likable and more human. Like, okay, these
Right.
are two people who like probably hooked up drunk, and they're like, hey, do I like you sober? And instead, it turns into this like real too awkward situation.
Yeah. So anyway,
Boy, what a dick you have, Tom
so
Cruise.
This guy
Jake
fucks.
Johnson's like, I saw in the shower the other day. Whoa, buddy. So like at the end of this movie, they just straight up rip off The Exorcist, and during the kind of final thing, Tom Cruise just kind of forces her to like possess him, I guess. And then this is actually a little fuzzy, so if you guys like help me fill in the cracks, but like then through another voiceover, we're told that like Tom Cruise is a mummy now. And then the movie ends.
He's a mummy now.
The movie ends with him and Jake Johnson, who, by the way, was brought back
Is
to
dead.
life off screen, and says like, "Thanks for bringing me back to life."
That's right.
I'm not making that up.
Thanks for fixing me. Where are we going, buddy?
Yeah, and they're both on horses in the desert. Now, this is the part I want to talk about because this was a real like if it weren't for my horse moment I've been having for the last 2 days. Tom Cruise and I think
I get that reference.
Tom Cruise is wrapped in like mummy bandages. Now, not like he's not really embalmed. He doesn't look like a monster. He's got a couple of like loose bandages around like his head and his arms and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like walk with me on this journey though.
We are on this journey, whether or not we want to be.
She was a mummy because she had been mummified, right? So
no, they buried her alive because there's an info dump at the beginning.
But they showed him wrap her up.
Right. Well, okay, but wrapping.
Well, yeah, they at least put bandage on.
This is my point. Yeah. There's a reason why she has fucking bandages on, and she wakes up and she's a mummy. She wakes up and she's a mummy because she was a mummy. But like, so now Tom Cruise is possessed. Why does like I said to Mark, is there like a mummy dress code or something?
Yes, dress for the job you want. That's exactly what it's about.
Not the one you have. That makes sense. Yeah.
Can I catch mummy from sharing a soda with someone who's a mummy?
And I just
how else would we know he's a mummy if he's not covered in bandages?
You know,
and you can't cover Tom Cruise's face. That's a multi-million-dollar face.
The
so
movie,
you just gotta like.
So that,
I think that like she is a mummy and he is the mummy.
So then it literally ends
now
like
we're gonna have the
and this is just another
disparity discussion.
Another case of this movie like
where do mummies come from?
Just not having any real identity. Like the movie ends like it's some like buddy Indiana Jones movie. They're both on horses. They're riding away in the desert. They're riding off into the desert, and there's like a helicopter shot like pulling back.
Well, it's a callback to the beginning of the movie.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but what does it matter? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, technically, is Jake Johnson a mummy or is he a zombie? Like, does he eat? Does Tom Cruise have to eat? Like, are they alive or are they dead?
Well, I think
does
there
it
was
matter?
something.
Find out the sequel.
Wasn't there something about like if he became a mummy, he like saved, like destroyed evil?
Evil if he.
Everybody just roboted out for a second. What did you say, Mark?
This is the Illuminati trying to keep us from figuring out this movie.
No, it's Tom Cruise.
The Scientology, yeah. We've
See
used Tom
you.
Cruise's
Get outta
name
here.
way too many times, and now they're listening.
Beep boop. No, I was just saying that wasn't there some talk of like if he became the mummy and lifted the curse, then humanity would be saved or something?
Right. And it seems
so like
I mean, it
maybe
seems like
Jake Johnson's normal again because the curse is lifted because he.
Well, he has the power over death, so he.
So maybe that's
assuming
what
he brought Jake back to life.
Hilarious though that he did it off screen. He's like a main character in the movie that like sets off all these plot points, and he just fucking shows up back at the end totally fine on a horse.
Hey Tom Cruise, thanks
it
for bringing
doesn't
me back to
explain-
life.
It doesn't explain them riding off in a dust cloud towards the pyramids and stuff, but there's another tiny little info dump from Russell Crowe and the blonde chick.
None
right
of,
before it
Casey,
cuts
none
through
of
the
the
desert.
info dumps in this movie are tiny.
This one actually was. I could see why you could miss it, but that was the whole thing. They're like, because she's like, oh, what's going to happen to him? And oh, he's maybe good now, but he's always going to be fighting that battle between the dark and the light, and yada yada yada, and off they go. So he was setting it up to where he's just going to go run around, do his thing, while I go find other monsters, and then I'm going to pull him in.
I almost
the other weird thing that they
guarantee-
do
I
with
almost
the
get-
Tom Cruise character, like besides the fact about talking about like how young he is and how good he fucks, they keep talking about like how roguish he is. But literally the only roguish thing that he does is like randomly shoot the rope that causes the entire like bullshit with the movie.
And also, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying like that. It's show don't tell. Like he doesn't do anything. He does not do anything roguish in the movie at all.
Well,
yeah.
But also, you talking about him shooting the like one rope to like open her tomb, dude. He says on the plane like there's this huge moment between him and the archaeologist when Jake Johnson becomes a zombie, and they're like, no, this is a pressurized like plane, don't shoot. And Tom Cruise literally accidentally shoots him like 3 times, and it's supposed to like it seems like it's supposed to be this really funny moment. But it's just super awkward. Like what? Like I don't understand anything. anymore.
Well,
This is what the world has come to.
to that point, though, at least Jake Johnson later, when he showed up as in the restaurant the first time, they're talking in the bathroom. He's like, "Dude, you shot me 3 times."
Well, I guess they had a good continuity.
I mean, really, the thing that baffles me is that inevitably someone watched this final cut of the movie and went, "Yep, this is good enough. This will do."
I can like almost guarantee that last scene was like a reshoot, and somebody went like, "Guys, what about Jake Johnson? Like his character just disappeared, and what is the deal with Tom Cruise? You know?"
Boy, thanks for saving me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tom Cruise got on the phone.
you
Was
could be
like,
my wingman any day, Goose.
Tom Cruise got on the phone. Was like, "Hey Jake, great news. I need you to do another stunt for me."
But no, what if it was like
I need
the
you to get on a
1
horse
week-
for me, buddy.
What if it was part of the 1 week that they had in the desert, and they were like, "Okay, we're just gonna do like multiple takes of you doing all these weird things, and we'll just figure it out at the end. Like we need to make use of the desert now."
Jake, you and
You're a
me,
mummy now. He's a mummy now. You're a zombie.
Everyone,
You're a
look,
person.
it's called the Mummy. We're all mummies.
Jake, you and me,
We
bareback
all
and a
mummies
horse
now.
in the desert.
We all
buddy.
mummies now.
Also, I just want to point out one more time that he said, "Thanks for bringing me back to life." So
Romance of the century.
I gotta
That
say,
said, Jake Johnson does pull off a turban pretty well.
as
Alright.
as bad as this movie is, I'm actually super glad that we watched it because it's
Oh, yeah.
just it is one of the most fascinating
I wouldn't go that far, but
messes that
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
I think I'd be pissed if we saw this in the theater, though. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I would be
Oh, yeah.
so mad.
if
I'm
spent-
just mad that I didn't watch it before the end of the year, so I didn't have a chance to make it 1, 2, and 3 on my worst
Yeah.
list.
I wish
through
I
last
could
year.
remember what happened instead. Like, did we take a week off or did we do something else? Like,
We
There was
just
something
rewatched-
else that
I think
came
there
out
was-
that week.
Yeah, it was doubled up.
all right,
Oh
guys.
my God.
Mark, is there a movie guide?
There is. So it's been so long since I've done a movie guide. They've now made the stream of consciousness thoughts longer, and they've separated them into sections. So do you want me to read
Yes.
all of them, or do you want me to just pick a specific section and read it?
I don't know. Your choice.
Oh Jesus. Okay. You know what? I think I can probably read the whole thing, but just I'll let you guess what the categories are.
If I start yawning, just wrap it up.
Okay. So there are now 4 categories: violence, sex, nudity, and other content. So, but same style descriptions. If you are not familiar, movieguide.org is a Christian website that reviews movies for their objectionable content, and we read them because they're funny. So, The Mummy features some very strong violence with gruesome special effects and lots of strong action violence with many scary elements, including it's implied in a flashback that an evil Egyptian princess slashes the throats of her father. You know what? I'm going to skip violence because it's not even really that great. We're going to move straight on to sex. Shots of strong but not extremely explicit sexual encounters involves evil princess on top of 2 men to carry out an occult death ritual to gain eternal life. And hero and female sidekick briefly discuss having had a one-night stand via innuendos. I would say there's more than innuendos,
That's
but
yeah.
nudity. Here we go. Partial upper and rear female nudity in sexual situations. Rear female nudity in another scene. Images of upper male nudity, and hero covers his private parts in another scene when he wakes up naked in a morgue.
I had to erase that moment from my memory.
That is true.
I love the idea that an adult is using the phrase private parts in a website for other adults to read. And also other content. Hero is seen drinking to forget the odd horrors he's seen in a humorously intended moment. And strong miscellaneous immorality includes Hero and his sidekick break their military superior's orders to sneak into an Iraqi village and loot a treasure to sell to high bidders. And it's discussed that they do this on all their missions.
Oh.
There you go.
Nothing
That's
about.
And
I mean,
well, that I skipped the violence section, which is very long, but does not appear to be terribly funny.
all right. I mean, it's pretty. Oh, I gotta adjust my testing. There we go. It's pretty like evil, occulty, right?
Yep. Well, you know, we're all in this for the upper male nudity
Oh, of
and
course. I mean,
and innuendos.
Well, I got into this business.
you know, yeah. If we're not here for the upper male nudity, what are we here for? All right, guys. It is time. Did you like this movie, Mark?
No, I sure did not.
Joe?
No, I would pass on this.
Cece?
No,
Casey?
please save yourself.
Casey?
No.
All right, guys. Let us take a quick break, and we will do some fan mail.
Getting some really strange readings in here.
A missing crew
This place is a tomb.
DJ, where are you?
and infinite evil.
ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows what it's brought back with it?
Vacate! I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
Event Horizon. Rated R.
Hi, this is Tom Savini, and you're listening to BloodyGoodHorror.com.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. Shit, thought it was good there. No, I'm not. Sorry, guys, my mic's dying here. We're back. Hello. I forgot to pull fan mail, too, so I am killing it. Hey, Joe. We got actually a special message for Joe today, but first up, from Toby. Hey, BGH, happy 2018. Is there a food you guys love as much as 11 loves Eggos? Thanks as always, and get ready for another year of email nonsense.
Chicken and a biscuit crackers.
Oh,
Jesus.
you get those outside of Thanksgiving?
Oh my god, I get them in my dreams. They're so delicious.
I say Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Yeah.
That's it. Pizza. I could live on pizza if I could live on it.
Tacos, maybe bacon.
Bacon.
Mine's French fries, if you couldn't tell.
There you
Cocaine.
go. Next up, Sean. Hey, Eric. I support your take on the killing of a sacred deer. This movie made me actively angry more than any other movie I've seen in a while, and I just saw Insidious 4 Ghost Jail today. I'm surprised
Jesus
Eric
Christ.
didn't bring up how the director is obviously sniffing his own farts. It's funny he says that because that was like one of my bullet points that I had going in, and I just forgot to bring it up. That it is like, even if you like it, you have to admit, it's kind of the ultimate fart sniffing movie.
Fart huffer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Agree to disagree.
Last up, Joe, our friend Elisa from 21st Amendment Brewery wrote in for us.
Oh!
She says, hey, gang, thanks so much for the shout-out on the year-ender. My fiance and I were listening while falling asleep around 3 a.m. on New Year's Day and had a spontaneous freak-out when Joe chose a 21st Amendment beer as his pick to end the year. I can't explain how excited I get when I hear that you're enjoying our beer on your show. I hope 2017 was good to you and that 2018 brings even more amazing horror films. I'm looking forward to more great reviews this year. We've recently checked out Jungle, Bitch, which I haven't heard of, MFA, Thelma,
Wait,
and
wait a second. Was there a comma in the name?
just Bitch.
Jungle bitch.
Thelma and Hounds of Love. Very curious to know your thoughts. Thank you for the continued support. I'd like to send some limited edition beers for you to try if you're interested. Joe, that's all you, buddy.
I absolutely
I'll
am.
forward it.
I got a I was actually drinking their variety pack for New Year's Eve also. I love those guys. You know, it's not just because I know she listens. Like, I'm just a huge fan of their stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
no, their
awesome.
stuff is awesome. I'm a big fan of the Fireside Chat, as I've said before. All right. That is it for email, guys. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. Mark.
Tweets.
Sweet. Cool. So we use two hashtags. The first one is BGH Classics. So if you are a patron, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror, and you're listening to a back episode, tweet us with the hashtag BGH Classics with some silly shit that we said that we inevitably forgot that we said. This first one's from Library O Congress. Eric said, by my house, there's this abandoned ground round that never got torn down. Someone should turn it into a nightclub. To which I said, yeah, they could just call the nightclub the ground round they never tore down.
It's really, it's really bizarre. I think was that recent? Does it say?
I don't remember it, so it does. No, they forgot the episode. I don't think that was recent.
Because there's one around. I mean, I must have been talking about around here. There's one around here, like an abandoned ground round, and like literally, it's like there's grass growing around it. It's like in the middle of a developed
Would you say it
area.
was a ground round that they never tore down?
Yeah, I would actually.
Yeah, cool.
That's my favorite Creed song.
Oh my god.
Round that they never
Go
tore
to
down.
the ground round that they never torn down.
Oh
Jesus
man.
Christ. All right, next one is from Attorney at Space. Eric said he's a man after my own heart for killing all those kids in this movie. Episode 95, Trick or
Wow.
Treat.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't like that movie or the kids in it.
Uh,
I thought you were going to say you didn't like that tweet. You went with, I don't like that movie? Okay. Great. Next one, also from Attorney at Space, episode 114, Antichrist. Eric, this had to be a European actress because no American actress is going to go far for that role. John, sarcastically, you can't see Rachel McAdams doing this?
What-
Joe, Hilary Duff is everything, is in everything.
What movie? What movie is it again?
What?
What movie?
Huh?
What movie?
Antichrist.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
That's very important to the
right.
general point of that tweet. Oh, Jesus. All right, last one's from Skizbot. Joe, after hearing the word of the day.
Oh boy.
Joe, after hearing the word of the day, effluvia. I think it's also that yogurt that helps you go BM, right? Episode 436 of The Beyond.
Oh, Joe, you scamp.
Jamie
Jesus
Lee Curtis
Christ.
loves that stuff.
Oh my God. It's still one of my all-time favorite SNL sketches.
God.
Amazing. All right, we also use the hashtag AskBGH. If you have a question, ask it with the hashtag AskBGH, and we'll read it. First one's from Library O Congress. Y'all see that ridiculously self-serious trailer for the Slender Man movie yet? What the hell was so generic it could have been a trailer for Bye Bye Man 2?
You know, I actually meant to go see it and forgot, but
yeah.
And was that a shot of an egg being artificially fertilized at 2:06 in the trailer? Wake me when they make a Turkman movie.
Turkman.
I do love, like, we do not know this person, but I love that Turkman is now immortalized thanks to this podcast.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Is this person from our hometown, or are they just talking about
They
Turkman
must
from
have
us
been
talking
listening to the old episode or something, I would guess.
I like
I
it.
would guess they were listening to the old one.
And if we really know you, I'm sorry. we don't know who you are. All right, next one is
Wait,
from
what's
That
the
Baseball.
Hold on, send me the
Sup-
name in the chat. I wasn't
It's
listening.
Library O Congress with one S.
Oh, which is the first name? Which is the last name? Dingus.
Yeah, Library O. period,
Con-
about.
Congress.
Twitter handle. I don't know.
I understand that.
Yeah, Eric,
Carry
if I
on.
saw the first and last name, I would have figured that out already. It's because it is obscured. And also it says I basically only still have a Twitter handle so I can tweet stuff at Bloody Good Horror. So I'm guessing this is not a person that we just know. Anywho, thanks for that. Was a really exciting Twitter sleuth segment. All right. Next one's from That Baseball Joe. I see Netflix finally released Before I Wake by Flanagan Film. Any chance you guys might be reviewing this movie?
Anything's possible, man.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it though.
So that's arousing, maybe.
Didn't we
Well-
see that one?
No. I don't it just came out, I thought.
What's it called?
Wasn't it? It says it's
Before-
2016. Wasn't
Before
it
I
the one
Wake.
with the kid? They had the kid like his nightmares would come true, and like they woke up once and it had all the butterflies in the house and shit. It had Thomas Jane and long hair.
It says coming January 8th.
I'm
So
unfamiliar.
I'm guessing that it came out this year. And
I'm
you're
on-
thinking of a different movie with a generic title.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with whatever Casey was just talking about.
IMDb says Before I Wake came out in 2016.
Oh, there's two. There's two. There's a 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like there's two movies called Frozen.
Mystery solved.
Two movies.
next
two
one
movies called
from
Jack
Newcomb.
Frost too.
That's true. This next one's from Newcomb McD. Shouldn't all movie guides end with problem solved without prayer?
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Monster
maybe not
House. What was
not the Exorcist, right?
I always go back to Monster House.
Right. But like The Exorcist was, well, I guess it wasn't solved with prayer. It was attempted to be solved with prayer.
Well,
That's
I
a
mean, it was solved in a roundabout way. It just didn't end up good for everybody.
Right.
Right.
Prayer did prove to be harmful to the demon in The Exorcist.
Yeah.
In a way. Okay, next one's from Alan Murch. Have any of you seen the bizarre yet compelling written, directed, and starring Steve Oram from Sightseers and A Dark Song?
No.
No?
Sounds interesting though.
I don't know if we're going to let you get away with that, Joe.
Yeah.
Next time. This next one's from Bruno the Weber. How do you guys think Tom Cruise character could work in an expanded universe, considering they're still doing that? I mean, what would this movie universe even look like?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, dude. I have literally no idea what that would look like.
I don't know why
Is it
they
still
didn't think to
planned?
just
Like,
do. What's up?
Are they still planning it? Like, is this still happening?
I
Are they
think
gonna...
this-
No, they
movie-
dropped it after this one. There's a
Yeah.
big news story about it.
I think this movie totally killed it, which is for the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't just make Reverse Monster Squad. And they would have had like a hit on their hands.
I assume they were working on a live action version of Transylvania Hotel or whatever, that Adam Sandler cartoon.
Hotel Transylvania.
Transylvania. Yeah.
Hmm.
Which would have been adorable.
Yeah, that would have been.
Let's move on.
Okay, next one is from Crossfire Horror. Tom Cruise shows us A-list actors don't make good horror films. Which A-lister do you think would make horror films main bad guy better and badder? Would make a horror film's main bad guy better and badder? Love you guys.
I don't really
Love-
like
love you
seeing.
too.
I don't really like seeing A-list actors generally in horror. I feel like it kind of messes with my suspension of disbelief a little bit.
Brad Pitt, he's always good.
He was in the zombie thing.
Yeah. Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
Interview with a Vampire.
Dude,
7.
that's a great movie.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Interview with a
Come on.
Vampire. I know
Come
Joe
on.
and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's funny
I love Brad-
because I was thinking like that. I mean, not that you have to make an Anne Rice movie, but like I was just kind of thinking that. Sorry. There we go. I was kind of thinking that that's almost the atmosphere and tone I would want to see out of a universe of monsters.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense.
Just
Like,
really
and I think that's
dark.
what I think we're all kind of expecting
Really
from this one,
dark
and it
and
just went off the
gothic
rails.
Okay. Next one is from Femme Fatalisms. Who do you think this main role was originally written for? It certainly wasn't Tom Cruise. My guess is Chris Pratt.
Oh,
That just
I
sounds like
mean-
wishful thinking.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I don't
think-
know though. Seeing
I think
Chris Pratt in it.
Chris Pratt's too big for this movie at this point in his career.
Yeah. Maybe before, but
Am I the only one that thinks this movie would be fucking awesome if it starred Nick Cage?
I would have enjoyed it more had it been Nick Cage for sure.
It'd be like International Treasure.
oh,
I mean, it does. It has that same sort of vibe for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
if National Treasure and The Wicker Man were combined into a movie. Like,
Oh God, remember
that's-
the fucking Ghost Rider movie we had to watch?
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Hey, that
ridiculous.
second one wasn't bad.
yes, it
So-
was.
I mean, I
Oh
enjoyed
no,
them
I'm
for what
thinking
they
about
were.
the.
You're thinking of
about
Drive
the one-
Angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
God.
That movie.
we could say it's a
great.
spiritual successor to the Ghost Rider movie. Maybe. I just remember he pees on a fire at some point. Or no, does he pee on a fire or does he pee fire? I can't remember.
Peace
Peace
fire.
fire. I just remember I got food poisoning and it hit me at the end of Drive Angry, and I had to drive Angry home.
And that is the story of how I'll always remember the title of that movie.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, what else we got here?
Never go to bed angry. Next one is from Maniac Cop 3. Are you planning to watch Leatherface at any point? I have it on now, and it's very, very bad.
Yeah, no. I think we might have dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
I watched it over Christmas vacation, and they're right. It is very, very bad.
It's like a prequel.
Yes, like, do you guys want spoilers?
Sure.
They go back to before when Leatherface was a normal boy.
Oh, let me guess. His mom was a stripper, so he became Leatherface.
No, but they were all still crazy people and whatnot, but he was like a legit normal teenage, like 18-year-old boy, and then something happened and he became mentally damaged.
Casey, I'm gonna need you to tell me right now what that thing was.
I don't remember what it was that happened, but
I was gonna say, I just need you to tell me so I don't have to watch it.
I'm gonna
Oh,
guess.
Jack
I'm gonna
Scott.
guess that he was swinging on a swing and tried to go over the bar and fell on his head. What do you think?
I'm gonna guess like a girl was.
Guys,
mute-
I knocked out my front teeth that way.
Did you really?
Wait, you
I'm
have
sorry. I
falsies?
didn't mean to be so insensitive.
I'm gonna guess like.
Wait, tell me you have false teeth.
No,
Tell me
it's
those
all-
come out when you eat your possum pasta.
No.
Ah.
Okay, I knocked out my kid teeth that way,
Oh.
not my adult teeth that way.
I swear to God, I would start a GoFundMe for you just to take those out on camera. And have it be my Christmas card next year.
Jesus Christ.
This took a very unexpected direction.
Happy Christmas. Pasta.
Jesus, Eric's not having it. Eric is not with this conversation. All right. We have two more. Last one, or this one's from Casey Kern too. Do you think a horror-based cinematic universe like Universal has been attempted can work?
No.
Yeah.
I think it could in the right setting, but I just don't think they were setting it up.
I mean,
correctly
listen,
in
it
this.
could maybe work, but they can't be giant movies like this. Like, I understand they want to make them Marvel movies, but that's not what this is.
Well, I think Universal has the same problem as DC. Like, I think that they are like Eric said, they're trying to be something else, and that's not like they're trying to match the competition instead of doing something that matches the material. And until that changes, which I don't see happening, I don't see it happening successfully ever.
Yeah, I mean, you've already right. If you're going up against Marvel, you've already lost, so you may as well play to your strengths.
And like I was saying before, I don't think it was part of it, and it wasn't a great movie. I Frankenstein was, despite its problems, they were trying to do something different with the whole Frankenstein story. And if they would have gone that direction with, I think, these movies and tried to make them at least a little bit different of origins or something, it might have been better.
Wait,
well, I mean, it's kind of like why I think Dark Knight's successful.
Is I Frankenstein the one with Aaron Eckhart?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where he's got like magical beating sticks or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's what we were talking about when you said
magical
that was interesting.
Beating sticks.
His magical Toblerone.
And there were like angels that guarded his Frankenstein church
It was
or
a whole
whatever.
thing.
Yeah.
That movie was actually amazing. Never mind.
I take back everything I said. Oh, Jesus. Okay, last one. I think this one's a softball. Who would have put this in their bottom 3 for 2017?
Yeah.
Everyone.
I probably would have bumped Annabelle for this and put it at 3rd.
I'm with you. I probably would have.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like these movies need to be like, just kind of go back to the last one. I feel like they need to be small, intimate, character-driven things, and then come up with some interesting characters first, not action movies, atmospheric, kind of gothic horror movies, and then start tying them together. But like, it's just not going to work as an action movie, I don't think.
Actually, you think about it, how this would have worked really well is if they would have kept the modern times out of it and stretched that 10-minute info dump at the beginning in ancient Egypt into a full movie and shows how they turned evil and they're going to live for eternity and then build into the franchise. That could have worked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I much prefer that they cram an entire movie into 10 minutes of exposition at the beginning of the movie.
That's kind of what I was trying to say with The Dark Knight. Like, I think that had they really taken the source material and gone a direction with it rather than trying to make a new superhero Avengers movie out of something that's
You're talking about Batman versus Superman, or like
no, I'm talking about
I'm talking about how Nolan played with the origins.
Right.
Yeah, he played with the origins. So kind of like Casey's saying, like, had they gone back to, the time of the mummy actually becoming or her, because I guess she's not the mummy, her becoming a mummy and like setting that up for what that means.
But doesn't it make sense too? Like, what really should have happened is the characters in the movie should have naturally discovered the story of who she was and slowly unveiled this mystery. That's the thing I just keep coming back to is, why dump all that out in the beginning and then just ruin any mystique the movie has? I don't understand that part. The only thing I could think is like, maybe that was the idea originally, but they had to make room for all this Russell Crowe BS crammed in the middle of the movie.
Well, and if they rewrote it 40 times, like the easiest way to get it in there is just to like show some slow motion footage and read about,
It's such sloppy, just sloppy screenwriting and editing all around.
It's a mess. That's it. That's it for the tweets.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We're also on Twitter @BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. Don't forget to check us out on patreon.com. You can hook up with our Slack there. You can chat about all kinds of things there, like books, and beer and horror movies. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. There's lots of other good stuff you get, including the live stream of this show every week. I promise I will have our audio board fixed by next week. And what else is going on? If you want to check out the book club, go to bloodygoodhorror.com and click on the book club. We're also on Goodreads.
Yes.
And if you missed it, we still have all of our top 10 and bottom 3 lists from last year.
There you go.
Okay.
Fun fact, the first 2 movies we've done in 2018 probably would have made my bottom list.
Yeah. Not sure why we're choosing that portion for our completest tendencies, but
Off to a good start. No, I'm super glad we did this movie. It was weird.
Yeah.
it's something.
I can say that I've witnessed it now. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. I don't know what we're doing next week. I think we might be doing Insidious. Yeah, Insidious: The Last King.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it is.
What did that email call it? Insidious Ghost Jail?
Ghost
I
Jail,
like
yeah.
that.
All right, guys, it's gonna do it for this week. Hope you enjoy the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Adios.
See ya.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.